Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Cade Museum for this January 19th, 2021 meeting of the Rotary Club of Gainesville. My name is Tom Collette, your Sergeant at Arms. We welcome each and every one of you here. For those of you watching after the fact, actually watching now on Zoom, we welcome you. And those of you who may be seeing this after the fact on YouTube, we ask that you please register your participation watching on YouTube by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. We begin our meeting today, as we often do, with song and pledge. And to lead us in the song and the Pledge of Allegiance, please welcome to our podium, Pete Enwall.
Okay, this week's bad jokes are 99% of the men who tried baby showers went back to regular sized showers. And what do cows do for entertainment? They go to the movies. I love that one. They're getting worse, I know it. Fortunately, there's nothing you can throw at me, so that's great. All right, so we're going to sing Acapulco again today, and we're going to sing My Country 'Tis of Thee. Everybody ready? My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. And whoever's saying the prayer, would you say one for me and my jokes? Sorry, no flag. So. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. And up next we have Lori Vidal.
Whoa, let's hear it again.
Oh, me. Well, I tell you, it's this is fun. It's fun to be back. This is my second week in person, and yeah, I'm getting into wearing the pants again. And so that's a good thing. And but it's I think we do have kind of a big day tomorrow, and so with that in mind, let's join our hearts as we pray. It is unnerving to be approaching one of the highlights of our nation. The transition of leadership and power with such unrest around us. And as we approach this day tomorrow, we are thrilled that we live in a free nation where we can go through a healthy transition of power. But we are asking ourselves in our hearts, what are we committed to? And it is good to be here with this group. And in light of last week's get together that we had, talking about integrity in business, and we just, again, if we could join our hearts in praying for those things that we really want. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? This is our commitment, a test of the things that we think, say, and do and have agreed upon. Help us to examine our hearts individually, to recommit ourselves to these ideals. We pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. That's right. You can go ahead and be seated. If you have a guest, though, please remain standing. Don, you're out there, aren't you? Don Bugos? So if our guests can please rise with their sponsoring Rotarian, bringing them today. Rotarian, please identify yourself and then your guest.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I'm Jason Shank, and very, very happy to have with us today. I'm going to start with Jacqueline Moore. Jacqueline works with Enterprise. She's our airport manager, just does an exceptionally awesome job for us. Obviously gone through some really challenging times and kept us afloat at the airport. So really, most importantly, what Jacqueline quite honestly does is when I go on vacation, she oversees the whole area, right? So she takes care of everybody. So give her a round of applause for that, because she has her hands full. And Jarrell Daniels. Jarrell, let's see, the father of Superman is an easy way to remember it, right? This is week number 2. Just started with us with the company, our management training program. So we're very happy to have Jarrell with us, and looking forward to some good things in the future. So thank you.
Such as you are behind the University of Florida. We are visiting in the city with my daughter, who teaches at UF. We usually come here for 3 months. Last year, we were with you quite a bit over at London, as I remember. Very nice setup. And our club in Iowa City is about, it's the largest in Iowa, about 300 at least. It was a year ago. We're in the same situation as far as being shut down. They do meetings virtual, and they have small gatherings, very similar to yours. But anyway, we're pleased to be here. We like it here, considering there was, 8 inches of snow, short of very long, so this is kind of nice. But anyway, good to be with you. Bob Crane and Connie Crane, my wife.
Next, we have a series of announcements. First, please welcome to our podium for our first announcement today, our fellow member,
Hey, everybody. Gives me great pleasure to give you guys the exciting news about our Bread of the Mighty food drive. We did a great job this year, and again, thank you to everybody who donated. We ended up with a grand total of $5,350 that we donated to the Bread of the Mighty. Again, it's a great time of need, and they greatly appreciated the timing of it, because you may have seen there was an article in the Gainesville Sun a few weeks ago that talked about the fact that donations tend to dwindle after the Christmas holidays, so they appreciated our cash donations to allow them to continue to fulfill those needs after people stop thinking about donating and giving. So, as we mentioned, we have a drawing for everybody that donated to the Salvation Army Drive, as well as the Bread of the Mighty, for a $100 Embers gift card. And the winner is Jan Legler.
Congratulations, Jan. Next up, we have Colleen Kane with an announcement. Come on up, Colleen.
You. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I wanted to give you an update on a couple of events that we normally have, but haven't been able to have because of COVID. Our major fellowship event, the Seafood Spectacular, and our major fundraiser, the Wild Game Feast. The Rotary Clubs of Gainesville Foundation Board has been meeting. We normally have the Seafood Spectacular in the fall, but because of COVID, and we tried to put it off until January, but we still don't think it's a good idea. We want to protect our community. So unfortunately, this year, we're not going to be able to have the Seafood Spectacular, but it is our high hopes that we will be able to have the Wild Game Feast. We will not be having it in March, but we're hoping to have it in the fall of 2021. So with that being said, we are now putting the call out for club-sponsored recipients. The funds will be up to $50,000. Again, we're putting out for the club-sponsored events up until March 15th. If we don't have any club-sponsored recipients, then we'll put it out to the community for applications. So stay tuned. I want to give a shout out to the foundation board. We've probably met more this year in a year that we haven't had events than we normally do, just trying to make good decisions. So stay tuned and we'll update you as we move along. Thank you.
Last announcement. I feel like I'm introducing Karnak the Magnificent. Please welcome our magnificent Greg Young.
Thank you very much, Tom. Wow, exciting day today. Lots of great announcements, and I have an exciting announcement as well. It's my pleasure to announce the results of the recent election of the new board members who will serve our Rotary Club beginning this July, and they will continue serving through June of 2023. If they are in the room as I call them, would you please stand up to be recognized? They are Marie Collins. I know Marie's here somewhere. Marie, stay standing, stay standing. Eric Godet was here last week, but I don't see him this week. Jay Nordquist, Kathy Pierce, Brendan Shortley, I believe I just saw you, and that's our 5 new board members, so congratulations. Thank you, thank you. And today, I'm also very excited to make one other important announcement in that at last week's board meeting, the board voted to approve our own Linda Reinhardt as the incoming secretary of our club. As you know, Linda has been a very active member of our club and has done many community projects and helped our club in many ways, behind the scenes often that we don't know about. Currently, she is serving on the board. And as part of the progression of leadership, Linda will become, as secretary now coming in, she will become the president of our club for the years 2023 through 2024 of our Rotary year. So Linda, thank you for your willingness to serve, and if you'll stand to be recognized, congratulations.
And thank you, Greg. Now we turn the meeting over, ladies and gentlemen, to your president, Matthew Brady.
I still need that, Tom.
Hello, hello. Welcome to today's meeting. I do have a couple additional announcements, so if you'll bear with me
Here a minute. Okay. Zoom should now be hearing me again, hopefully. So you may have missed
a couple of guests on Zoom. We may have had an incorrect mute button. So if you did,
Jason Shank has with him Jarrell Daniels and Jacqueline Moore, both working with him. And here as guests today. And then we have visiting Rotarians. They've been with us a few times. Robert and Connie Crane from Iowa City, Iowa Rotary Club. So thank you very much for being here again. Yes. All right. So what an awesome slate of names that Greg had brought forward to you. And so thank you all for your willingness to serve. It's a great club. We have so many different Rotarians that do so many things, and it's great to see the rotation and how we overlap, and 5 new fresh members in perspective each week. And so we appreciate that. You know, as Colleen talked about, speaking of great Rotarians and members, you know, I want to take a minute, and even though we are not having the Seafood Spectacular, Dwight McKee and Lisa Mueller have been working very, very hard through this time with the foundation board. We've had probably more meetings leading up to a non-event than when we actually do have an event. And I just want to say thank you very much. And it's not ignored. Thank you. And the same goes for Colleen. You know, we'll have a transition here mid-year, and we'll transition into new leadership before the fall seafood. But what an amazing and challenging job that she's done. It's not surprising that when I identified her as a Feastmaster, I knew she would do an amazing job, and she has surely risen to the occasion. And thank you very much. So, who again has been receiving their Flamingo flyer? Okay, from District Governor Rich Turnbull. So Rich is continually trying to make sure that he gets a response rate, and we have had 2 winners for his contest when these come out, and we've had 2 Paul Harris Fellow winners from his monthly contest, which puts us in quite the lead, all right, in the district as far as success rate. So, before I ask this young lady to come forward, I'd like to say that, like Ryan, she not only won the contest, but she does truly demonstrate the values to receive this Paul Harris Fellow. She has served faithfully with the Rotary Club. She was an early dual member in becoming engaged with both clubs here and Rotary. And she also has been a great contributor to our foundation in this challenging year, making decisions and what she brings to the table professionally. As I asked Zakiya Smith-Dorr to join me, I will attest that it's because of gifts like yours, whether it be monetary or multi-talented hands-on gifts, the Rotary Foundation is able to carry out an array of programs that achieve beneficial changes in our world, improve living conditions, increase food production, better education, wider availability of treatment and rehabilitation for the sick and disabled, new channels for the flow of international understanding, and brighter hopes for peace. We talked about that earlier, and we can play a big role in that. In becoming a Paul Harris Fellow, Zakiya joins a remarkable company of persons throughout the world, all recognized for their devotion to the ideal of goodwill, peace, and understanding. It is a goal of Rotarians the world over, and one that Zakiya clearly shares. Again, while this was a contest, it couldn't come at a much better time and for a much better person who's exemplified this through Rotary and then integrating into our club in the dual member and stepping up and being one of the early on the foundation board from the Rotary in a great way. So it gives me great pleasure, Zakiya, to present you with the emblems of appreciation to give a Paul Harris Fellow. We congratulate you and we thank you for your commitment to the program of the Rotary Foundation. You want to say something? Okay. All right, she passed on any comments, but I don't blame her. I've got microphone, cell phone, everything. I don't even know what I'm doing right here. So at this time, we are going to hand the program over to our speaker chair, Jeannie Van Hart, who will introduce today's speaker.
Good morning, everyone. Congratulations, Zakiya. The one and only John Spence is the author of 4 books and a co-author of several more, a business consultant, workshop facilitator, keynote speaker, and executive coach with a client list that includes Fortune 500 firms, small businesses, professional associations, government, and academic institutions. John's areas of expertise include leadership, high-performance teams, managing change, organizational culture, strategic thinking, strategic planning and execution, and the future of business. John has built his entire career on making the very complex awesomely simple. We are fortunate John is able to join us today to give us an inside view on what steps you can take to adjust and adapt today. And we all know today is a challenging day, and create a plan to thrive on the other side. Over to you, John Spence. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, Jenny. Thank you very much. I hope we're getting good sound at Cade. And this is amazing. When all of you were checking in, so many friends, a bunch of you I saw in your homes, so I feel like I'm coming over for lunch today. But it is sad that I'm going to present from a distance. But to give you an idea that I normally travel 250 days a year. This year I've had one night away from home. And the longest stretch I've ever been in one city since I graduated from college was 22 days. And I've been home now 10 months, which is the same for many of you. My industry, your industries, a lot of our industries changed overnight. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a friend of mine who works with Dan Sullivan, who's probably the most famous executive coach in the world. And Dan's quote is, "We just had 10 years of technological advances in 1 year." For all of you that are on Zoom, although we're sick of it, this is something that is going to change the way we do business. I was talking to another consultant this morning who said, I may never travel again. I only to the places I want to, because I can do just as much work or even better work just on the Zoom. And I was looking at it today. Just in the last 10 days, I've worked with people from New Zealand, Israel, India, Russia, Mexico, Canada, Poland, and Australia. And in the past, I might have done that, but traveled everywhere. Now it's just jump on Zoom and let's have a chat. So the last time I was here, which was about 2 years ago, seems like 200 years ago, I actually talked about the future of business and some of the exciting and interesting things that were happening. And as Dan Sullivan just said, although I had said these will probably be 6, 7, 10 years into the future, a lot of them have happened already. So I wanted to go over some things that have changed pretty dramatically since just 2 years ago. Right now, the fastest classical supercomputer, regular supercomputer, does about 386,000 trillion operations per second, 386,000 trillion operations per second. The Chinese just came out with a new quantum computer that is, ready for this, 1 trillion times faster than that. They gave this Chinese supercomputer, quantum computer rather, a math problem that should have taken, this is amazing, 2.5 billion with a B, 2.5 billion years for the computer to solve, and it solved it in 200 seconds. So let's use that as a platform for a second, as the springboard, as if you will, or the fulcrum for what's going to drive unbelievable change going forward. Let me see here. Huge advances in artificial intelligence in electric cars. I don't know if many of you saw it, but Ford and Mercedes and a few others are shifting over most of their production, or a large portion of their production, to electric cars. And some countries are saying that by, let me see what year at, 2027, they will likely be all electric, no gas-powered cars. We've actually got flying cars now. They're testing them in Abu Dhabi. Let me see what else. Robotic food delivery was something that was way on the horizon. In most major cities now, robotic food delivery is a standard. They're just it's gonna roll up to your house. You walk out, you pull out the bag, go back upstairs. No one would have thought that that came that fast. And the other thing that's helping us right now is using that artificial intelligence and supercomputers for medicine. It was one of the major underlying things that brought us the various COVID vaccines. Those should have taken normally years and years and years to come to the market. And because of the massive computer power we could throw at that, it allows it to speed that up to a level that was really incomprehensible when all of this got started. So I wanted to touch back and say, just in 2 years, some of the things that I shared with you and I've shared with my clients, I teach a class on this at Wharton, have already come to pass. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to mention, Bitcoin, which I don't understand at all, that or blockchain. I understand it a little bit, but to give you an idea of something that the last time I talked to you, well, give it here. In January of 2018, which is probably around the last time I talked to you guys, one Bitcoin was worth $970. One Bitcoin, $970. January 2019, one Bitcoin was worth $4,000. Currently today, one Bitcoin is worth $37,591.80. And this is something that in 2005 basically didn't exist, a completely new fiat, a new way of doing money. And at this pace, it's going to continue to grow. So let me talk about how to thrive on the other side. I was coaching a lot of executives and consulting for a number of companies when the Great Recession came. And I had some very clear advice for them, and it seemed to work out well for them. So the advice to all of them was, right now, there's 4 areas to focus on in your business. Number 1, take amazing care of your employees. They're the future of your company. And if you're going to make it through this recession, you got to have great employees that are highly engaged, which goes to number 2, which allows you to put out the best product and services you've ever done in your entire company, the history of your company. Now is the time back, and it's the same now. So the recession or now, same thing. Now is the time to dazzle, wow, delight, surprise your customers with a level of quality and a level of service, although the service delivery has changed pretty dramatically, that up until now they had not expected. So to consistently exceed their expectation. I see. So someone talking about not investing in Bitcoin in the chat. So number 1, take great care of employees. Number 2, allow them to do the best work they've ever done, stay engaged. Number 3 then was to take amazing care of your customers, to get super close to them by delivering great quality, and by using all the new technology to touch base more often, to check in, and I'm going to hit that in a minute. And here's why on 2 points. Your employees and your customers will remember years from today how you treated them right now. With all this going on, the trouble, the turbulence, the chaos, were you someone that was there for them, that stood by, that gave them what they needed, that helped them out, that talked to them? And that bond of trust will create a bond of loyalty and create what I call customer evangelists. And then my number 4 piece of advice during the recession, still works now, is to keep an eye on your financials. Not to obsess about it, constantly looking at it every day, every hour, but to step back and do some back of the napkin planning there, or back of the envelope planning, and look out and say, if this trend continues, when the numbers hit this number, I'm going to have to make this decision. And if the numbers hit this number, then we'll make this decision. And if we get to this place, then here's how we're going to go forward from there in a financial position. The key to this, though, is to do it before there's a major issue. Because if something blows up in front of you, what happens is emotion overwhelms the situation. You're not sure what to do. It's scary. It's concerning. It's a risk. And that's when people make knee-jerk decisions, sometimes very large financial decisions, without having the data to back it up. So that was my recommendation during the recession and now. I've added a few things into that. And by the way, I'm going to try to leave at least 5 or 10 minutes minimum for some Q&A. So please, any questions I'm dealing with companies of every size all over the world right now. I'm coaching about 11 CEOs, all in completely different industries. So I've got some good insight onto what I see in companies. One of them, for example, is right now, about 77% of employees never want to come back to the office, or they want to come back for just a little bit, maybe 1 day a week or 2 days a month or something like that. That is going to dramatically change how we work going forward. And as Dan Sullivan said, in large part, we're not going back. It's not going to change. And so let's look at some advice now. And some of you will see a video come out from me tomorrow on this, because this is the advice I have now that's more important. The other 4 things are important, but self-care. We're all under a lot of stress and pressure right now. There is anxiety about COVID and about politics and about the economy and, work from home and all those sort of things. Now is a time I tell all my clients to please focus a bit on yourself. Take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health. take some time to relax and recenter and come back and calm down, turn off the TV, the phone, the computer, all of it, and just do some things that will help you handle this situation with more grace. And so number one is self-care, got to take care of yourself. Number two is, and here's a big one I'm seeing, which is going to lead to one of the issues and challenges I've been seeing is, here's the biggest challenge I'm seeing right now, culture at a distance. How do some of the companies I work with have been named, not because of me, have been named top places to work in their city, their state, some of them in the country. Which is fascinating that the companies you would think don't need help because they're already really good are the first ones that go out and say, give us some help. I just always thought that was interesting. But the thing they're struggling with now is how do I keep that level of engagement, that strong, motivated, excited culture throughout my organization with almost 100% of my people work from home, or 70 or 50% where I don't get to check in and see with them. And the thing that I found is two things. Number one is you got to care about them as individuals more now than ever. A lot of the people that I work with, the clients, they have employees that are young, not married, and they're feeling a horrible level of isolation. I think all of us are. I have only been out one time in Gainesville for a talk, and it was at the Cade Musuem for junior achievement. And frankly, everybody was nice and we kept the social distance. It scared the heck out of me. And I just said, I'm not going to do that anymore, which means the only people I see is my wife and maybe somebody, if I pick up something for food like we do, take out and support local restaurants. Other than that, nobody. So there's isolation even for those of us with family. So you got to check in on your folks, check in on your friends, check in on your family. Now is a really, really tough time. Actually, people right now are going through a real challenging time of change. That change is being thrust upon them. I mean, it's one of the things I tell my clients too, is this is not your fault. There's nothing you could have done to get ready for this. There was no way to know a pandemic was coming. And some of them are running great companies, been around for 30 years, making a ton of money. They got a couple hundred employees, and overnight, everything changed. They had to fire people, let people go, and a lot of them have built that back up, and I'm very, very happy for them. But many people, when they face what they perceive as negative change, they go through the same grieving cycle as if someone close to them had died. That's how painful change could be to many people. And let me go through that cycle. What you'll recognize is yourself and some of the people you work with and know where they are in this cycle. And you can go back and forth. You can go through part of it and then hit a wall and drive back through it. So let's go through that quickly. The first stage is immobilization. This stuff started happening, and a lot of us, me included, totally overwhelmed in the beginning. Couldn't believe what was happening, frozen in my shoes, looking around, didn't know what to act, really immobilized, scared. That's level one. Level two then becomes denial, where they go, this isn't happening. It's going to go away. It's not going to impact me. It'll happen to somebody else, but this is not a big issue, not a big problem. Then what happens after they realize it is not going away and things are not going back to normal today or this month or this year or maybe 2 years, then they jump into anger. They get really mad about it. Angry at the COVID, angry at regulations, angry at the economy, angry, and that anger spurts out, builds up and explodes sometimes, and people really struggle with that. What we find out is they have a lot of other trauma that pulls into that, explodes that anger. After anger, then they go into bargaining. Okay, I've gotten angry. That didn't help either. I just got angry. My blood pressure went up. I hurt a few people's feelings, hurt my own anxiety level. Then they go into bargaining. Please, is there any way to get it? Couldn't I just go out a little bit? Couldn't I go here? Couldn't I just do try this a little bit or try that a little bit? After that doesn't work and they're bargaining and negotiating, it doesn't work, then they go into depression. And right, you say that word, but right now we have an overwhelming tsunami, try to come up with a good word of mental health issues in our country and around the world. And a lot of people feel that depression, the lethargy, hard to get motivated, hard to, to get things happening. And when you see somebody like that, the key is to reach out and offer help and support them and do what you can. And if you're like that, the key is to ask for help, to say, hey, I'm struggling over here. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing to be embarrassed about. Some people think it shows weakness to say, I can't handle this, I'm in over my head, it's too much. It's the reverse. It's the courage to say, I can't handle this by myself. I do need some help. So that's when they get down depression. If they can get out of that, which many people are starting to, and the vaccine coming is a wonderful, wonderful way for us to move up to this next level, which is testing. I'm going to test new ways of doing things. I'm going to adjust to having to wear a mask sometimes. I'm going to adjust to buying 3.5 gallons of Purell every week. I'm going to adjust to work from home and working on Zoom. And as they start to test and adjust, what happens is it creates, I hate this phrase, but a new normal. There's a way, and as I said with Dan Sullivan, we're not going back the way it used to be. That's not happening. There are going to be some things that never go back that will change. So there'll be a new way that we interact with our customers, we interact with each other, all sorts of things that maybe 5 years from now, we look back and go, I don't know how we didn't do it. I don't know how we had meetings without Zoom. I can't believe I used to jump on a plane and fly all the way across the country for a 3-hour meeting, jump on a plane and fly home. Boy, was that stupid. So that's the cycle they're going through. And the key on that is you have to understand that wherever they are, whatever emotions they have, they're real for that person. You might think it's silly. You might think they need to get over it or stop worrying about it. That is not what they need to hear. They need to hear, tell me about how you're feeling. How can I help? What can we do together? So that's that level. So we talked again about culture at a distance. And this was part of all of that, checking in on people, making sure they're okay, finding ways to keep the culture of your organization or the connection within your friends and family strong. And that all comes through communication, not just Zoom, on text, on pick up the phone, send an email, put a note on a pigeon's foot, whatever it is, but stay in touch with everybody. Number two, about culture at a distance, and this is the one that really gets people out of bed in the morning, is having an ennobling purpose. Knowing that what I do every day makes a difference, that I'm not just making a paycheck, that I'm making an impact. And that is above pay or anything. That's the thing that gets people self-motivated when they're working from home or in the office or any company to say, I'm doing this because my work is important. Let me give you a real quick example of this. In some companies, this is very easy. We've got Opie in town and prosthetics company. And it's pretty easy when someone comes in and walks out with a brand new leg and they walk through the office and people see them. It's easy to see the impact you have. People that work at Shands or U of F or in other places where I can see that I'm saving people's lives. But when you go down some other things, I work with a lot of credit unions and banks. Hard sometimes for the teller to understand the purpose until you realize we're the ones that allow this person to buy their first house or to put their kid through college or to buy a car that will allow them to get back and forth to work or go take care of their mom or go buy food or whatever it be. So when you can get it down to the personal level of what I'm doing right now makes a difference to these people, that's another way to ensure you've got a strong culture at a distance. So I've got about 3 more minutes and I want to have at least 5 more minutes for some Q&A because I see a few coming up and I really hope you nail me with some questions I can't answer. But as all consultants and professional speakers do, I will look into the camera and make something up and say it with confidence, and some of you will believe it. So let me go back and I want to summarize finally with the foundation of what I teach every business. The 4 fundamental things that I think every company needs to focus on now to thrive on the other side, and they will always need to. The first one is talent. The future of your company is directly tied to the quality of the people that you can get, grow, and keep on your team. And now many companies are realizing the talent doesn't have to be in my neighborhood or my town. A lot of us knew about virtual workers, but again, I've got some clients I'm working with that run credit unions, and they're like, I can hire a CFO or a mortgage broker from any place in the country. As long as the time zones work, my talent pool just exploded, and I have access to lots of people now. So getting the best people, growing them, and retaining, which means that talent acquisition, talent development, and talent retention should be a major strategy in your organization. Not just, hey, we need to hire somebody, but we have a deep bench of 5, 6, 7 people we would love to hire if we just had the position open. And as soon as we have either the money to hire them or the position, we're bringing those people in our organization because it's going to make it better. So people. Number 2, T plus C. I had to remember my own. Wait a minute, it's here on the wall someplace. Here it is. The next one is culture. We talked about that. It's a major driver of organizations, either positive or negative. It's one of the places that, I've got a phrase, as goes the leadership team, so goes the entire company. And in large part, the leadership team runs the culture. A dysfunctional leadership team drives a dysfunctional culture, which creates usually bankruptcy, not a happy place to be. Whereas a highly functional senior management team, leadership team, can create an amazing culture of engagement and quality and excellence that allows the organization to really move forward. And that's a pretty, it's a balanced thing, that it's an area that can make or break a company, culture. The next one is extreme customer focus. And I touched on this with my advice to people during the recession, but the vast majority of companies aren't anywhere as close as they could be to their customers. And you could call it your members, your students, your, whatever it might be, whatever the name is, but a great phrase. I have all these phrases, and they're probably, that's why I have this wall. It's probably behind me here too, is whoever owns the voice of the customer owns the marketplace. Whoever has the best relationship with their customer knows their needs, their wants, their wishes, their fears. Whoever understands their customer the best has a huge advantage. And then lastly, you take those 3 things: top talent, winning culture, extreme customer focus, and you multiply it by disciplined execution. Or another word you could use there is accountability. The greatest strategy in the world, top people, great culture, understand your focus, but you don't take action on that, equals, again, no results, which usually isn't good for a company. So I want to end on that and answer it for some questions now. And we've got about 5 minutes to do that, and still make sure we end on time with any closing statements. Okay, I see one from Hakeem about, do you have any thoughts on the points brought up by the Social Dilemma documentary? My only thoughts is I haven't seen that. So I don't have the ability to address that question. So right out of the gate, very first question, wipe me out. No answer. Ginny or, thank you. Ginny or Matthew, do you have anything else to add or any questions in the chat that I could address?
Hello, John.
Hello.
I'll repeat. Pete, go ahead with your question and I'll repeat it for the Zoom, please.
Okay, a little bit convoluted, but I'm interested in John's.
Just hang on. Let's do this. Talk to both.
Okay, John, I'm interested in your thoughts on the significance of geographic location in the future, particularly with respect to institutions like the University of Florida, businesses, and the landlord-tenant situation, and the building of homes. So, have you got any overview thoughts on those?
Yeah, I do. There was a thing that we used to talk about. This is hilarious. 5-6 years ago. There's an echo. All right.
Go ahead and try that now, John.
Okay. So there was 5 or 6 years ago, we used to talk about distance. And that's when people were starting to offshore technical jobs and a lot of stuff to India and Philippines and things like that. I believe what we're going to see now is people are really going to embrace that. They're going to truly, deeply understand, no matter what kind of a company I have, except for the physical labor that has to be on site, pretty much anything can be outsourced anywhere in the world. Now, let's go back to that. That also means, and we're seeing this right now in a lot of big cities, that people in LA and New York and things like that are saying, if I can keep my same salary, and move to Gainesville or Colorado or Wyoming or Montana, then I can go there and have an amazing quality of life at what would be comparably a very high salary, because it's a Silicon Valley salary. So I'm seeing that. Here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the travel industry, not worried about the home building industry at all, because people are going to need homes. I see that they're going to be, some of them, in my opinion, are going to be moving out of the big city because the reason that they live there, some because of the excitement and the fun, but oftentimes just to be close to my job, be able to walk down the block to my job, not have to own a car, things like that. So I see a lot of geography moving out, people hiring people all over the country, all over the world. And then the last one you asked me about, home ownership, cars. This is amazing to me. Right now, it's almost impossible to buy a car or a boat. The couple of dealerships I'm dealing with can't keep inventory. Part it's supply that isn't meeting demand, but I would have anticipated car sales to fall through the floor during this time, that people weren't driving and people are learning, I don't need to drive into work. I can just go in by Zoom instead of buying a new car, having two cars, one for me and my husband or wife or whatever. We just need one because we barely use it. I know during this time, one of our trucks has sat in our garage the entire time. It's probably been driven 15 times in 10 months. But car sales are up. Boat sales, I understand that, because people are saying, I can't take an expensive vacation. So I'm going to spend it on a boat for my family. Another thing that's fascinating, I'm working with a client in Canada. They thought they did too. They did indoor house painting. It's a company called Wow One Day Painting. They show up like 15 people, paint the inside of your house, bam, it's done. They're the busiest they've ever been in the history of their company, 400% growth, because people are investing in their houses. So interesting things. I got off on a little tangent there, but I see, again, death of distance. Geography's not going to mean anything. People are going to live where they want to live, not following their jobs, which means we can attract good talent from anywhere in the world to work in Gainesville virtually. And a lot of people that will leave places that had great salaries in big cities and move here because of the quality of life. There is my thoughts on that. Okay. You guys want me to handle one or two of these questions off of the chat?
Yeah, let's take this live and then we'll take a couple more.
Cool.
Hey, John, hopefully you can hear me okay. One, welcome back. Glad to have you back to the club. And we're really happy that you're still married after being home 265 days a year. Had to throw that in there. Could you expand a little bit more on culture as one of the 4 touch points, number one? And number two, being that we're in the transportation rental car business with Enterprise Holdings, can you share with us where you see transportation going? Those 2 questions.
Okay, number one on culture. Here's some traditional things that underline. Are we good now? Cool. There are some traditional things that underline culture in every organization. And that's why I'm saying these things I'm going to mention are really hard to do at a distance. And I'll go through them. There's 9 things. Is it a fun place to work with a family atmosphere where I work with my friends, sometimes my best friend, where I have the freedom to do my job well, where I'm treated fairly, and fairly isn't pay. Pay is 10% above or below what I would make to do the same job anyplace else. What I mean by fair here, are the rules fair? If I have a problem or an issue, will my voice be heard? The next one is pride. I'm very proud to work at the organization that I work at. The next one is praise. I get some sort of genuine, honest, sincere praise once every 7 to 10 days. I think now during the pandemic, it should be down to almost every day or 2 days. And then the last ones are meaning and accomplishment. I want to do something that's meaningful to me, and I want to be able to say, that's my work. I'm proud of it. I finished that. So as we go back around all that, the only ones that really, not the only ones, but the ones that get major impacted are that fun, family, friends, because that's a more of a high touch thing than fairness, pride, or praise. So my big concern is, again, how do we create both? And that at this point is when you can to get together, you get together. The other time, it's just lots of communication, lots of touching bases. And I've always said celebrate wins. Now it's a time to celebrate everyone, small, big, medium, large, whatever it is. Praise people constantly. They need that constant contact and support. Still have to hold them accountable, but boy, everybody needs a lot more contact, support, love, to be connected. Transportation. I don't know a lot about that. I would be worried. I think that people are still going to travel, but not nearly as much. So, I mean, I know, let's put it this way. I did probably 100 rental cars last year, or the 2 years ago. And my travel is going to be cut significantly. A lot of people I know are going to use Zoom. So my crystal ball says rental car use will likely go down dramatically. That doesn't mean there won't be some other way that people start to use them. Like maybe I don't have a car and I only rent one for a week when I need to go run some errands or do something. So it's cheaper for me to rent a car than it is to buy one. And I don't really need it because I'm not traveling as much. I wish I could tell you that I thought rental car business was going to go up by 6,432%, but I'm not seeing that. Sorry. All right. What are we going to go now? Live or one off the, and we're right at time. So I don't want to go over any time for you guys. If we got to, I know we're usually at Rotary, it's 1 o'clock and your history. I'm standing by. Okay, then I guess I see some clapping. I'm guessing we're done.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. What a great presentation. They're running around with the phone questions, and I know we missed some in the feed, and hopefully we can circle back to those time soon. But as a former Rotarian, you know, Rotary does open opportunities, and that is the theme this year. And I would love to see this commemorative coin. You can add to the collection. And you can actually see it because you'll be at home and you can keep it there with you. So we do greatly appreciate you sharing with us today, and great presentation as you always do. Thank you all for being here today, and we'll continue to tweak out the sound, but we've got great people. We'll get it done. Please do not be discouraged to come here. It is an amazing facility. It's still an incredible, beautiful place to be, and we're going to make it perfect. So as we close out today, quote of the day: success is not final. Failure is not final. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. Have a great week.